Welcome back to the channel, everyone. For the buck here. Today we're doing something a bit different, not a strain review but a real talk video. I've been smoking since I was about 12 on the black market, and about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I finally switched over to UK medical cannabis. I didn't do it to be trendy or like these guys. I did it because I was sick of the harassment of the police, sick of the risk, sick of dealing with contaminated street weed. The thing that mattered most to me going medical was getting away from contaminants like PGRs, sprayed THC, mold and other mystery crap. I wanted my medicine clean and legal, but there are definitely downsides nobody told me before I made the switch. So today I'm going to go through 5 big things I wish I knew before starting UK medical cannabis. From the perspective of someone who's been in this game since childhood, smoked it all, seen it all, and now lives on prescriptions. Tolerance and habit. It's not just a medical problem. Let's start with the big one that everyone loves to dramatize: tolerance. You'll hear people say medical cannabis builds tolerance so fast, I wish I knew that before. And I'm going to be blunt, that's not a medical cannabis problem, that's a cannabis problem. If you smash morphine, your tolerance goes up. If you smash tramadol, your tolerance goes up. If you sit with 4 ounces of street weed on the table all day and do nothing else, guess what? Tolerance goes up. So yeah, with medical, if you overuse it, your tolerance will build, but that's not unique to the clinics. That's just how the body works. What is different, and what nobody really told me, is this. Because it's legal and it turns up at your front door, it's really easy to fall into the routine use. Same time every day, same ritual, same strain, and before you know it, you're not asking, do I need this? You're just doing it because it's there, and that's what you do all the time. So my advice as someone who's been on both sides is check in with yourself. Ask yourself, do I actually need to medicate right now, or is this just habit? You don't have to demonize yourself. It's not about guilt. It's just about being honest. That will save you money in the long run and better health. Sometimes you'll realize, actually, I can push this back an hour or 2, and that one tiny decision repeated keeps your tolerance and cost down. Medical cannabis didn't create that issue, but it makes it enhanced, and it makes it easier to see the patterns because you're not running around chasing dealers anymore. Cost versus value. £90 tubs or £100 tubs, or in fact once £110 tubs, don't always win. Second thing nobody really explains properly is the cost. People love to say the more your tolerance goes up, the more you need, the more expensive it becomes. And there is some truth in that. If you cane it, your costs will go up. But here's where I disagree with the way that it's usually framed. I've had £50 tubs and £65 tubs that smack harder and work better than some £90 and £110 tubs. I even used to get a £50 tub, 10 gram strain that beats some of the premium stuff at £85 or £90, no joke. So it's not as simple as higher price equals better relief, or better medication. What I wish I knew earlier was shop smart inside the medical system. Sometimes if you wait long enough, that £100 strain will be £50 or £65 when it's expiring. Not every expensive strain is worth it. There are cheaper bangers if you know where to look. Pay attention to the strain, not just the percentage and the price. This is where it's very deceptive. Sometimes a cheaper 22 or 24% with the right terpenes will do more for your condition than a 32% irradiated rock that tastes of cardboard. And I can guarantee that firsthand. So yeah, medical is not cheap. There's no, even though it's called prescription, it's not really paid for by the state. You have to pay for it. So, but at the full market rate. So the more you tolerate that, is the more it costs. And that's only half the story. The fuller truth is you can absolutely find amazing, strong medical strains at lower price brackets if you're willing to look beyond the hype. Irradiated versus non-irradiated. This is the next step now, the next stage I want to talk about. This is number 3 on the list, the thing I care about most. This one is huge for me personally, and it's the main reason I even went to medical in the first place. Contaminants. On the street, you never really know what's on your bud. PGRs, mold, sprayed THC, or them new synthetic THCs, or the old synthetic stuff, J2O, etc. All kinds of unknowns. I wanted out of that. I wanted clean flower grown under proper conditions without breaking the law, tested, labelled, all of that. But here's what nobody really spells out clearly when you first join. A lot of UK medical flower is irradiated. In fact, most of it. That means it's been blasted with radiation such as beta or gamma to sterilize it, mainly to kill mold and bacteria, so it passes strict regulations. Now the official line is that it's safe at the doses used, but from my perspective as a connoisseur, irradiated flower is a no-go and often tastes flat. It leaves isotopes on the bud, maybe in tiny amounts, but that builds up over time and doesn't leave the body for many, many decades. 80 to 90% of the terpene expression feels muted. The nose and the flavor are just dead. It doesn't feel alive the way good non-irradiated bud does. And there's also the unspoken bit. You know, I said it a little bit just now, but I don't personally like the idea of consuming something that's been through gamma or beta irradiation with potential traces and isotopes left behind for decades and many, many years. Even if the science says it's minimal, for my peace of mind, it's a no. So my rule is non-irradiated all day long, because for me, the whole point of going medical was cleaner bud, fewer contaminants, no mystery sprays, better flavor, better control, and non-irradiated gives me that. To be fair, there's a catch-22 here. If they don't irradiate badly grown or badly stored flower and it has mold, that's a serious health risk, much higher than even consuming the isotopes themselves. But this is where growers need to get good and not produce moldy bud. So some growers rely on irradiation as a crutch instead of just growing and curing properly, which is a shame and shows you the current market we're in. What I wish I knew sooner was which clinics and brands focus heavily on non-irradiated flower and which brands I should focus on and which clinics I should join. How big is the difference in taste and effect? How big the difference really is. So that's another thing I wish I knew. I wish I knew that you have to be proactive and ask and check menus and order things that you want off MedBud. You can order custom strains for your clinic to order from the breeders or other places. And deliberately choose non-irradiated where possible. If you're like me and contaminants are your number one concern, make non-irradiated a priority from day one. Next thing is stock issues and strain disappearing acts. Number 4, stock issues and strains vanishing. This one I fully agree with as a real downside of UK medical cannabis. Here's what happens. You finally find a strain that you're perfect with and fits your perfect terpene profile. It hits your condition right, it tastes beautiful and fits your routine. The clinic says, yeah, don't worry, it'll be back in a few weeks, couple of months. You wait and it never comes back. And that's what happened with Thurismus Craft Queen Sangria. It was there once, twice, and then it was gone. Meanwhile, some of the big popular strains, the sourdoughs, the farm gas, they're always there because clinics pull them in bulk when they know people want it. But those special, more niche strains, the ones with a unique terp combo that actually change your day, they can just disappear, and they do. That's something I really wish people were more upfront about when you join, that your favorite strain is not really your favorite strain forever because it's not guaranteed to exist long term. You may emotionally and medically invest in one flower and then the plug just disappears from the menu. So what can you do? Well, you can learn your terpene profiles, not just the strain names. So if you know, well, I do well on limonene and myrcene with a bit of carafilene, then when one strain goes, you can look for another with some similar terps. Don't attach your entire well-being to one strain. Have 2 or 3 that work for you if possible. Accept that the menu is fluid, especially in the UK. It doesn't stand still, it's not a stone in hard rock. Medical is more consistent than the black market in terms of labelling and quality, yes, but in terms of long-term strain availability, that's still a weak point. In the street there is still Stardog, not that I want that, but that is there, 10 years later, still running. Stigma, law and driving, the stuff around the weed. And last but not least, the part nobody likes talking about because it's awkward. Stigma, law and driving. Let's start with driving. I'm going to be really clear here. I do not recommend driving while you're high at all. It can slow your reactions, it can cause an accident, it can kill yourself and kill others around you. And I've seen it happen. It is illegal to drive while impaired, prescription or not, and I've seen people stopped by the police, tested, come back positive and taken through court, and they have to then prove their medical evidence, prove everything afterwards. In that moment on the roadside, the police do not care. That's it, medical. So my advice is simple. Don't smoke or vape and then jump in the car. At least leave it a few hours, let it wear off. Wash your face, drink water, coffee, wake yourself up properly before you even think about it. If you travel with your meds, That's fine, you're allowed to do that. Keep your prescription, make sure you have your ID that matches the prescription, and ideally keep them sealed away in the boot of the car, well away from you, so you can show you're not actively using it while driving. Ideally leave them sealed, then that can prove that even more. Legal prescription doesn't equal do what you want, and that's something a lot of people misunderstand going in. Then there's stigma. Even in 2025, neighbors will still hate you. Neighbors will still judge you. Some workplaces still won't accept it and still do not let you work, even if it's prescribed. Some family members still see it like it's 1960 and you've just joined a hippie cult. You can be off opiates, functioning better, sleeping better, and living a healthier life overall, and still have someone say, oh, you're on cannabis now. That's disgusting. And that's the real downside, because unlike morphine or antidepressants, cannabis still carries old propaganda in people's heads, despite morphine being at least 10,000x times worse than cannabis. So what I wish I knew going in was legal doesn't mean socially accepted. You don't have to tell everyone, same way you wouldn't announce to everyone you're on morphine if you did it in your office. Share it with people you trust, but protect your peace. Not everyone deserves access to your medical info. And black market versus medical. What's actually changed for me? Let me just finish with this, because this is the real heart of it for me. I've smoked since I was 12. I've bought ounces and 4 ounces and 2 in a queue off the street, chased strains, chased highs, chased growing, chased flavors, and now I'm on medical. And here's what's really changed. I don't have to deal with idiots. I don't have to look over my shoulder. I don't have to smoke contaminated, sprayed, dirty weed. I know what I'm getting roughly, at least in THC, percent CBD and terpenes. I can focus on what actually helps my condition instead of whatever the plug has this week. The downsides are real: cost, stock issues, irradiation, stigma, responsibility around driving and dosing, and the need to be honest with yourself about habit versus need. But for me personally, the pros still outweigh the cons, especially the fact that I'm not inhaling mystery chemicals from some random block anymore. If you're coming from the black market and thinking about going medical, here's my honest take. It's not perfect, it's not a magic cure, but if you care about cleanliness, legality and control, it's a big step up as long as you go into it with your eyes open. If you've made it this far, drop a 420 in the comments so I know who the real ones are. Let me know your experience with UK Medical, what shocked you, what disappointed you, what saved you. And as always, if this helped, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. I've got lots of reviews on my channel. Feel free to have a look. Peace.